diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Raw Recovery with Dion Miller. It is Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. And here we are again with another episode, hopefully helping you guys stay indoors with the coronavirus going on. Is a great time to sit down and listen to stories and be a part of the fellowship and just see what we have in common with each other. Today, our guest is Bianca, and I've just met Bianca myself also. She is an assistant manager at a car wash currently. Bianca came on the show through Jill. Her and Jill are really good friends, but I would like to start off by bringing on Bianca and doing a little bit of celebrating for her 1 year. Bianca just celebrated a year of sobriety. Great job. So welcome to the show, Bianca. It's fantastic to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. So, what we do here is we tell our experience, strength, and our hope. So why don't we go ahead and get started? The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Do I just start wherever?
You can start wherever you want to, Bianca. This is your show. This is the Bianca show right now. So
Okay. I'm Bianca. I have a year of sobriety.
Woo.
I came from a good family. I had a decent life.
Okay.
But then both my parents were drug dealers and addicts.
Okay.
So my life wasn't gonna be a doctor or anything.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I thought. And so I grew up in a life of always having a high expectations.
Okay.
Always needed straight A, good grades. I was a good girl,
Okay.
If I stayed being a good girl with good grades, they would get off my back. And that's how I did through all my schools, or all my years in school. I used to get bullied a lot. I think that's kind of like where it stemmed from.
All right.
My addiction. I used to get really bullied because, I was a tomboy, didn't produce like other women.
Okay.
And so I started getting bullied when I was in elementary.
All right.
So, and then that's when I started at 8 years old. I smoked weed and drank for the first time.
All right.
And then when that led to, I was the only one in my grade smoking weed.
Well, do you think that had to do with the fact that your parents were dealing? I mean, doesn't that would almost seem normal in your house?
At that time, I didn't know that they were doing that.
Okay.
It was more like my parents and my aunties would always like go in the room and leave us cousins together.
All right.
And kind of started experimenting as a younger age because our parents were never around. Like they were there, but not mentally.
Yeah.
So we started smoking weed and then I didn't know until like when I got older what was the real deal.
Sure.
But I think just being neglected as a child, not having parents mentally there, but physically, yes.
Yes. Or emotionally.
Yes, emotionally. Yeah. I don't remember ever having that relationship. Like with my dad, I've always had a good relationship with my dad since I was younger. He used to sit at the table and drink his beer and talk to us and all that. But my mom, I never really had that connection ever. And then I started growing, in middle school, I dated a guy for 3 years and I got abused for all 3 years. Every day. And I made it seem like it was nothing. I still went to school. I had good grades.
Wow.
And I think it stemmed from seeing my mom in bad relationships.
All right. Following the same generational course, that same generational path.
You kind of just do it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then growing up a little bit more, once I got high school, I started knowing what the family business was, and that's selling drugs. Oh yeah, sorry, I got to go backward a little bit. I remember, I think another stem that really hurt me was when my mom got caught up for slanging and she went to prison in 5th grade.
Okay.
I was in 5th grade, and I really needed my mom at that time.
Yeah.
5th grade, and I didn't really know what was going on, and she went to prison, and I needed her at that time. And so that's when I started dating guys and doing the cool stuff, thinking it was cool to drink and drug. And I didn't really hit hardcore drugs until high school. And then that's when back again that I started slanging, knowing the family business. And instead of falling for the family, like falling for drugs, if I get the wrong thing outside, I was kind of taught it. The good way of it, I guess, to be a pro at it versus falling for it,
Yeah.
And then that's when I got popular. I was like, everybody called me. I felt important. They didn't like me. They wanted drugs, but I just felt like, Bianca's cool, Bianca's everything, and I felt like I had a place, like I was important for one,
Yeah, you were getting that attention that you were looking for.
Yes, that tension, the neglection that I once lost, know. And then I went all through high school. I was the coke dealer. That's everybody knew me by that. Bianca got the drugs, hit her up, and then I started, I graduated. I didn't, I was still good in school. I was taught to be able to do drugs and have good grades all the way through.
Yep.
Until I think it started progressing in senior year. I was like really bad. I used to use every day, use too much. That's when I started pulling out my hair. And my chest would hurt. And then that's when I tried to I used to make myself drink and drug at the same time because I hated drinking. If I drugged, my heart would hurt. So I wanted to do it without the pain. So I started forcing myself to drink so I can do a bump.
Yeah.
And then I started timing myself.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of stress, like looking at the clock here, there, and it's crazy.
And go. Okay, we're good right now. Go.
Yeah,
I know how that is.
So crazy how because I never thought I had an addiction. I didn't even know what addiction was. I didn't know I didn't know any of the issues. I just thought, how can I figure out how to do it better? How could I figure out to do it more comfortable?
Yep.
And that was the goal for me. I did end up going to college. But I was still doing drugs. But I went to college for about 1.5 years. And then I met an older guy. I was really young. We were like 15 years apart.
Wow.
And then he would do my homework for me. Because he was good at this stuff because his age is so older and he's been through it. So, but then I didn't finish school. I dropped out because I couldn't do it anymore. I was pulling out my hair again. I was just doing lots of drugs, cocaine specifically. And then it just kind of moved on. We were together. It was a bad relationship. It wasn't healthy. I've always had a stem of unhealthy relationships. I've never really had a healthy relationship, I guess you can say. And then I think it just went prolonged, my addiction got worse. And then I fell out of that relationship and got into it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Can you put on some headphones?
Yes.
You are getting some feedback now.
Gotcha.
Sorry, guys. Just a little.
No, don't worry about it, Dion.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So go left.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. No more feedback. Good job. Thank you.
Okay. And then when I got to, I think out of college, I was living at home, and then I met another guy.
Okay.
He was a meth user. And so, and then I was a cokehead, and I used to think meth is not okay because my mom used to use that.
Okay.
And I never wanted to be like my mom.
Yeah, we don't want to be like mom.
Yeah. And then But my dad did cocaine, so I was like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, because in my mind I thought that was acceptable.
Okay.
And so I tried getting him clean off meth, and then try to get him on cocaine because I thought it was better. But it didn't work out that way. And then um when I started hanging out in that kind of area, he would do his kind, I would do my kind.
Okay.
And then I got really drunk one night and ended up doing his kind.
Oh,
And I was
oh.
too drunk to feel it. So the
Yeah.
next day I wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
And then I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was straight hooked. I was done with cocaine, moved on to the next.
Yeah.
And then it just prolonged. I was, on cocaine for 7 years, and then I jumped to meth for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
It started out here, I can control it once every other weekend,
Sure.
and then it just became an everyday necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Then we ran into being able to become step parent. Well, I'm a step parent to
Okay.
my son, and we were able to get custody of him because his mother left him in another state and stuff. And so they called the father, and we showed up. And I
Okay.
thought it was like a chance to change my life. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted a kid, but I didn't want to give birth to one. So
Okay.
I was like, boom, this is God. Let me change my life for that,
Yeah.
So I went for a few months sober. We got the kid, and we started getting sober, got an apartment, was helpful. People were helping us out to get a place.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried one more time. That
Mm-hmm.
one more time.
And the last.
Insanity.
Yep.
Yeah. It will be different this time,
Yeah.
And then that was the worst choice I've ever done. That was
Mhm.
probably one of the regrets in my life because
Okay.
that was such a great stepmother. I felt like wanted to be there, and then I made a bad choice in the apartment we lived, and then it was just downhill from there.
Yeah. It was just a bunch of bad choices from there.
Yes. And
Uh.
then we ended up losing custody of the child, and then it just put us in a big spiral.
Yeah.
I was, I literally, I remember my son knocking on the bathroom door, mom, mom. And I used to do that as a child. I used to knock on the bathroom door, mom, mom. And she never came out ever.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I freaked out and I ran, I took off. I
Yeah.
left him and the child for a
Trauma.
while. Yeah.
Yeah.
It scared the living shit out of me.
It did.
And I remember promising me and my sister made a pinky swear when we were younger. We were like, we'll never be like mom. We'll never
Mhm.
be like mom. And I became my mother.
Yeah.
Literally. And then I fell into IV using. I started to use the IV.
Okay.
Once I did it the first time, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I wanted more. And then I just said, fuck it. You get those case of the fuckets, and you're
Yeah.
just, I hate those things.
Yeah. Me too.
And then from there, I just kind of like went spiral hill, down, down, down. And then I just didn't want to live anymore. I was
Yeah.
really nasty to people. Me and my husband, we would fight and, putting each other, like stabbing each other,
Yeah.
going really crazy. We both could have killed each other.
Yeah.
Literally.
Easily.
Yeah. And then I think the breaking point was when I tried killing my mom and putting her house on fire.
Okay.
And called my grandfather and was like, your daughter's, because he didn't know that she was still using.
Okay.
And so I put everything on blast, that what we were doing. Yeah. And he was like shocked,
Yeah.
And I was thinking being selfish. I was thinking about me.
Yeah. Well, you were having a case of the fuckets, man, when that happened. And I know that we chuckled a little bit, but we chuckled because when that happens, everything's fair game.
Yeah.
Everybody's the enemy, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And nobody else matters. And it could be extremely scary. We can do some things that are just not in our personality.
Totally. I never really thought I could do the things that I did. Like the person that I was becoming. I was like really disgusted, like there was times I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
I wanted to die, but I didn't want to hurt anybody. And
Yeah.
I remember I used to dream or like just wish to want to fake my like die, to have the
Mhm.
capability to die and then see everybody hurt and be like,
Mhm.
that's what you guys get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That hurt and pain I wanted to put on people.
Yep. Fantasizing your own death.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then being able to come back and be like, I fucking told you guys. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we're special.
Yeah. It's all about us, right?
Right.
We're different. And then there was a time before I really wanted help. I remember trying to commit suicide. I tried putting a belt around my neck and try to, end my life. And one of the roommates a roommate was living with me and my mom. We were all drugging together.
Okay.
She walked in and she stopped me and stuff. And then I think what hurt me, my mom seen me and she's like, how fucking stupid. You're
Mhm.
stupid, And it hurt me because I was like, I noticed the stem of why I did it. I didn't want to die. I wanted attention.
Mhm.
I wanted my mom to be like, I love you. I'm here. And I wanted that
Yeah.
relationship. And it didn't make it better,
Nope.
our crazy thinking like, yeah, I'm going to do this and it's going to make this. And it
Yeah.
totally did not happen
Yeah.
that way. And so I was really hurt by that. And then I think I remember after I tried killing her and myself and put the house on fire where we lived at, I think I remember in the garage vividly just dropping to my knees and asking God, please help
Mhm.
me. Please help me. I don't
No.
know what I need. I don't know how I need it. Just help me. And at the same time when I was going to Front Range Community Reach.
Okay.
Yeah, not Front Range, but Community Reach Center and
Yeah.
having
Okay.
a therapist, trying to figure out how to get clean, and I used to lie to her saying I was clean, I was doing good, and I
Yeah.
explained everything on my family. Like my family is the root of addiction, our
Uh-huh.
whole family.
Yeah, I get it.
And then so when I did that, it was crazy. I was high off my ass with my husband and I got a call from my therapist and my husband's like, don't answer it. Cause I was fucked up. He's like, don't
Yeah.
answer it. And for some reason I was like, I need to answer it.
Yeah.
So I answered it and she's like, how are you doing? And I just told her everything what happened.
Yep.
This happened with my mom. I tried doing all this, tried killing her. I've been shooting up. I'm not clean. And I spilt the beans on myself,
Mhm.
And then she got me into rehab. The next day she called me and said, you ready to go to rehab? I got a spot for you. And it was crazy how God helps you.
Yeah, one day that's
Yeah.
miraculous in this day and age. And I'm gonna interfere a little bit here, but I really like what your counselor did.
Yeah.
Your therapist knew. They knew. And they were just waiting for that one spot for you to be in the right area so they could be like, okay, it's time. And that was exact on moment. Man, I loved that. That was neat.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that was kind of God's calling. And she helped me so much. I
Mhm.
appreciated her help. I was like, and then I told my family that I was gonna go to rehab and
Okay.
a lot of people didn't think I was gonna do it. They just thought I was gonna
Mhm.
bullshit. But my dad seen the hurt and how far I was falling into. He used to blame
Yeah.
himself, like, damn,
Mhm.
I brought this on my child.
Mhm.
I could have done better. And I didn't want to hurt him because
Sure.
my dad is my rock.
Yeah.
He is my everything, even though he was doing what he wanted and showed me the things that I wasn't probably a normal parent should be showing a person.
Mhm.
But my dad was always there. He
Yep.
never put drugs in front of his children.
Mhm.
And that was the difference between him and my mom. I thought that was a different, like, it's okay for my dad because he's been there emotionally and mentally. My
Mhm.
mom, it's different because she wasn't there. And I
Mhm.
used to have a lot of hate towards my mom and not my dad.
Okay.
And then so I went to rehab. They thought I wasn't really gonna go, but I did. My dad took me and my sister.
Good on you.
Yes. And then they said that it's the rehabilitation intense treatment. So they're like, it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be like
Mhm.
morning to night, since you just, that morning, that was the last shot I did. And then I went to the rehab and they're like, I think you should detox first.
Yep.
And so I made the choice to go to detox, and I felt kind of like like sad, like, damn, like I felt like everybody was going to think like she didn't go, like she went to you know what I mean? Had to
that
reroute
they're not
and
going to well, and that goes through our mind, because why would they believe us now when all we've ever done is lie and everything else? We're like the boy that cries wolf. We cry wolf all the time, but the wolf is never there, just to get the attention. Look what I can do, Mom. I understand that. Whenever I'm around my mom, I turn 2 years old. Doesn't matter how old I am.
Exactly.
So.
And I used to prolong like that whole last year of my addiction. I used to talk about, I want to go get clean. I want to get, because a lot of my friends at that time told me like, dude, I remember you used to always say you wanted to get clean and you freaking did,
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to remember those times, but a lot of people tell me like, that's all you used to talk about was getting help, but you never did. And when I finally did, I had to go to detox for a few days and I felt better. And then instead of going straight to rehab, I wanted to go see my family one more time before I went. And I was just like, I wanted a different, so I got to see my husband and my sister one more time. I ate everything I wanted that night because I was going to go to rehab and they don't have none of that stuff. And there was 2 different pictures I took. The picture I took the day I went, and then the second day, and it's totally different. Like I was ready, I was happy, I was excited, I was like, I want to go. The first time I was scared. I literally was like, I didn't even have anything packed. I just threw all kinds of clothes in a bag, high as hell, and showed up, so I was able to prepare myself the second time. And then I went to rehab. It was like a 28-day volunteered. So I could have left anytime, and there was multiple times I just wanted to leave. I was like, fuck this, I'm leaving. And then they would talk to me.
It's tough work. Yeah. And that's why it's a we program, because we need those people to say, no, you've come further than don't.
You don't want to do this.
And we really build especially in rehab, we're talking about some pretty deep emotional stuff. So we make a lot of times you make good friends in rehab. But that's what it's there for, is to supply you with new tools instead of running. And doing it in a safe environment.
Totally. And rehab actually introduced me to, well, they used to bring meetings in to the rehab. So it introduced me to that. And that was pretty cool, because I used to have an NA book. Some lady gave it to me and I would read it all high. And I was like, that's how I feel. Like, this book is me. And I didn't know how to like figure out where they're like, I just so high. I just read the book and it made me feel more sane. Like, okay, there's something out there that understands me. But I didn't know what it was. It was a book. And then so when I went to rehab, they would bring the meetings in there. And then I would talk, share my story and everything. And I actually, once I left rehab, I went to the meetings that they brought in. It was Mount View.
Okay.
And it was my home group.
Okay.
And they're like, wow, like normally a lot of people that they meet, they don't ever show up. When you're like, hey, there's group, and when you get out of rehab, less than half don't show up.
Most of them disappear.
Yes. And so I was grateful to be one of those people that was like, I'm doing this. I'm gonna keep going.
What I really didn't like, when the first times I was going through treatment when I was younger, they would tell me, only 30% make it, and things like that. And you know what? Fuck stats. I want to be if you want to be a percent, then be the percent. But don't compare yourself with percentages and things. That's just something that I go through, that if we make a decision to be the 2% that does do it, then let's be the 2%.
Yeah, totally. And then I went to sober living because I don't think going back home was a safe place, because they were still using.
Good plan.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to go home, and I don't want to go to the hometown I'm from, because I know everybody there.
Yeah.
You know, I know where to go. I know how to get it.
And it's
And
natural.
so-
So it's going to be, yeah. And I see what you're, because go ahead. I want you to be able to tell them.
Okay. Okay. And then so I went to sober living. I went to 2 different sober living houses.
Okay.
And I was out there for a few months. And then it was good. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car, but it was nice to be somewhere and kind of figure out who I wanted to be and what I
Mhm.
wanted. Even though I still didn't know what I wanted, I didn't, I chopped my hair off. I was a totally different person.
Mhm.
I still haven't worked the steps or got a sponsor yet. So I was still having those character defects of acting
Mhm.
like I used to,
Okay.
crazy, angry, insane, Um, that's how I had to get out of one sober living to go to another one because of my personality and the way I treated and went off on people.
Okay.
And then I finally made a decision to wanted to go home because after I told my mom, like, yo, I can't come home and I'm not coming home because you're using, she made the choice and got clean.
Wow.
And she's still
Wow.
clean today.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Fucking
then
cool.
yeah, it kind of like started a ripple effect. Like all
Yep.
my family was using, and then
Holy
started-
crap.
yeah, once I did it, everybody started to follow. And I really didn't think that was going to happen. I was like, oh my God, if I get clean, then I'm going to lose my whole family. I'm going to have to cut everybody off, And then it was nice that everybody just started to follow. And yeah,
Mhm.
they're still struggling, but it's nice to be the first
Sure.
one to break the cycle, like
Mhm.
wanting to.
Yeah.
And then I came back home. I moved with my sister because I thought that was the safest place I can be.
Okay.
Because she didn't use or nothing. She didn't do none of that
Okay.
stuff. And then but then I didn't get into my program. I did halfway, I put 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I wanted to do something, but then I kind of didn't want to.
Okay.
And that's what I got in my recovery. I got a
Yeah.
half-assed recovery because
Yep.
I was half-assed in.
Yep. And you were probably miserable.
Yeah, I was. I really was. And I had 7 months at that time.
Okay.
And I went back out.
All right.
And then I went back out for about 8 months,
Okay.
something like that. And I was miserable. I went straight back to it was like instant,
Yeah.
crazy how fast you can go back
It's
to
like you never left, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scary. I was like, oh my God. And then my mom was clean and I felt like I failed. I
Mhm.
kind of like put a psych mode, like psych, I got clean,
Yeah.
but psych,
Yeah.
just kidding, and but everybody, like my mom was still getting clean and I felt just so horribly person. And I think that's when I make a stand. Like I relapsed and then I tried getting clean again and then I relapsed
Okay.
again. And then I finally just made a point, like, I need this. I'm going to try this because I was on probation and I was like, fuck, I don't want to have dirty UAs. And then I'm
Yep.
going to have to. So I kind of just made it in my mind, like, okay, I'm going to do this program 100%.
Okay.
And when I get off probation, I'm going to go get back. I'm going to go get high.
Sounds like a great plan to me.
I just want to get it over with, get off papers so I can go back using, maybe
Mhm.
one more time or whatever. And so that kind of gave me the passion to just kind of like get into the program. I got a sponsor. I got through the steps. I was doing everything they suggested, going to meetings every day. And I put my 100% in. And
Mhm.
then when the time came, I didn't want to use anymore.
What?
I'm off probation and I still haven't
Awesome.
used. Thank
Yep.
you. And it was crazy how my mind just needed to believe in something
Mhm. Yeah.
just to like get there.
Mhm.
And then when and then that work like really helped me with everything, honestly, like God was there.
Mhm.
Like because beginning of my addiction, God was there.
Yep.
And then I only wanted to use them when I was in the bottom.
Yeah.
Just want to use,
prayers.
yeah, like, God, get me out of this, please. I won't do it
Yeah,
again.
get me out of jail. That was always mine. God, I'm a
Totally.
skinny white boy. Get me out of here.
Yeah, like that's how I felt. Like I remember being in jail too. Like I just want to go home. I will never do it again. And I'd get out of jail and go straight back to the drug house.
Yep.
I've done that a few times. Promised my sister she'd bail me out, and I'm like,
Mhm.
nah, but never went home. But then once I went to the program and did the steps, God has been in my life since. It's
Good.
crazy what God can do for you. I didn't
Mhm.
believe it. I didn't think it was true. I didn't think that going to these meetings and people had all these years was even
Mhm.
real. I thought they were liars. I was like,
Yeah.
they're fucking bullshitting me. Until I was able to experience it. You know,
Mhm.
someone could only tell me things so much time. Like, you got to believe this, do this, do this, do this. But until I do it for myself and
Mhm.
believe in it and then experience it, then there's nothing like it's totally different. It's hard to explain. It's like magical.
Yeah.
It's so magical.
What had happened is you made a decision. You made a decision to put in 100%. Your intention was to use.
Yeah.
Okay. But you made a decision. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And that ruined your drinking and drugging career
Totally.
right there because you made a decision to put in 100%.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have faith and be drunk. Not us.
Yes.
Those don't mix. So as soon as you made that decision, your drugging days were over.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thank God, right?
Yeah.
And when it really and then to the moment of like being able to like pray every day, I pray for people that I dislike.
Yeah, sure.
I can't say hate because someone told me in the meetings, hate is a strong word. You
It's a very
dislike
strong
them.
word. Yeah.
And I'm like, they're like, you dislike. I'm like, no, I hate them. They're like, no, you dislike. And so I've been learning how to say the dislike word. And it is truly magical what God does for me today.
Mhm.
Anytime ever in my other life, you know, before I did the steps, I honestly don't think I'd be able to even have the guts to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Talking to you and wanting to share my story.
Mhm.
But it's really remarkable when God's in my heart and in my life, what it can do.
Yeah.
You know,
We become free people.
totally. And I didn't know what free meant. I thought free meant out of prison, out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we think.
Freedom was.
But there again, we didn't understand it until we experienced it.
Exactly. The
And
word
you can't
experience.
you can't even really explain because that's unique to every single one of us too. That's
Totally.
and that's why our stories are important.
Yes. And I think also what was more important for me was having the willingness. I was
Mhm.
willing to do something different.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't willing, like the first time, I was as partial willing,
Sure.
but I went back out because I was willing to still get high.
Mhm.
Until I was willing to give it up. Like I was like, you don't fucking go out no matter fucking what.
Yeah.
You don't pick up no matter fucking what, you know? And then when people, you know, a sponsor showed me all these tools and what I could do, and then I go to meetings and people are like, yo, do this, try that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna do that. And I
Mhm.
did. And once you experience, it's like it's unexplainable, you know.
Yeah.
Some people, like at my job, this lady was being so rude to me, and I'm like, you know, God don't like ugly. And she looked at me like, what? What are you saying? This woman's crazy. And I'm like, whoa, what did I just say?
Yeah.
I sound like, you know.
Well,
And then
you did it right. I mean,
yeah,
you don't need to owe an apology or anything on that.
yeah,
Those are borders, man. Put
yeah.
those up.
Boundaries, like
Boundaries. That's what I was going for.
Yeah. And then you know, when people ask me, because I have like a lot of friends that are still in addiction, you know, old time friends, and I try to share my, you know, I promote my sobriety on Facebook.
Okay.
I let people know I'm open about my life and what I've done and where I'm at. Like it's not a secret.
Okay.
If someone asks me a question, I'm willing to speak, and I will tell you exactly how it is,
Okay.
and how I felt, and without being like I don't want nobody to know about that. I like what people know about my story. I want
Yeah.
people to know. The more people that know, maybe can reach out to help somebody,
Mhm.
and give them some hope in their life,
Yeah.
because I needed that. I needed some hope in my life at that time, and I had
Mhm.
nothing. No one showed me the way. No one in my life was like, "Here, this is the way to do it." I was like, "God help me," and
Yeah.
He directed me.
Yep.
And nobody should have to be able to go through that far. They should. It's nicer to be able to maybe give somebody hope before they have to like hit rock bottom, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and so after that, I just been like really just focusing on myself, having boundaries, and it's really crazy what it can what life can do, you know. People
Mhm.
ask me like, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, I really can't explain it,
Yeah.
but God did it. And they're like,
Mhm.
"What?" And I'm like, I know it sounds freaking tacky that
Yeah.
people are like, "What's the secret?" And I'm like,
God.
God. And they're like, "What the fuck?" Like I thought you
Yeah.
were gonna tell like some like cool, profound scientific thing
Yeah.
of how to do it. And I'm like, it's that's how I did it. Go to
Yeah.
meetings, get a sponsor, work those steps. You know, you don't have to go to AA or NA. You know, there's 12-step program. This is in
Yeah.
my thing. Any 12-step program will help.
Certainly.
That
I
you know,
agree.
um, and that's how I see it. Like I don't judge on what program ACA. You know, I like ACA. I like it
Love
all. Like
ACA. I love them all.
yeah,
I love I mean, I love recovery.
yes,
And
yes,
I don't get to pick how that looks.
yes.
I can pick how mine looks,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't get to pick yours or anybody else's.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then the person I am today is not who I used to be. Like before I used to
yeah.
be judging. I used to probably try to compete with women.
Mm-hmm.
I used to try to only pick the guys to hang out with. You know, I was thought that was better than being with girls. I wanted to hang out with only guys, you
I
know,
hear
because
you.
I
I
got
only
the
want to hang out with
attention.
girls. So,
But today I'm able to bring up and uplift women. When I see a woman in the meetings that are like 30 days, I'm like, "Hey, can I get your number? Let's exchange," and then keep in contact with them.
hmm
Um,
yeah, you turned your shame into gold.
yes.
You turned your past into hope.
Oh, I like that.
And that's what we do. That's why
Yeah.
we share it, is because our past now gives people hope, and it's
Yes.
gold now. And that's why we
It's
don't mind talking about it.
yeah, it's like my how do they say it? Not the good and bad. There's a word for it that like my past becomes my I don't know the words. They said it in a meeting the other day.
Okay.
But it's just like it becomes a positive in your life, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your negative becomes a positive, and it's pretty amazing because I thought I was a shameful like my life was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most big thing in my life that really helped me was having that spiritual awakening
Mm-hmm.
of like being able to be like, oh shoot, this shit works.
Yeah.
Like you feel it in your heart, your
Yeah.
mind, your body, your soul, and everything. I couldn't explain it. It's like that magic I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like they're like, how'd you do it? I don't know. I just did it. And then I had this feeling and then
Mm-hmm.
I kept going,
Yeah.
you know.
And how'd you do it? Well, I was honest, open-minded, and willing.
Willingness. Yes. How'd you do it? And you know, today I have not yet. I part-time sponsored somebody,
Okay.
but then she got another sponsor, and that's fine. I was like, yeah, because when she asked me, I remember people saying, if anybody asks you to do something, you say yes, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. And so I'm still in the mix of trying. You know, I get scared, you know, but
Sure.
I know God's there to help me through it.
Sure.
Because sometimes I feel like I don't know the book as much as like the big book thumpers are.
I'm a
And
big book thumper. So
yeah, you
what?
know, but I get really intimidated about people that know that stuff more than I do. But I know that all you do is you take a woman through the book
Yeah.
and you share your spirit, strength, and hope. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's simple, but
Yeah.
I make it bigger than it is.
Well,
Like,
we know it that well because I've gone through the book with people so many times. So
yeah,
it just comes with time. And all
yeah,
it is just reading something over and over again, you memorize it. I mean, and that just comes with time.
yeah.
Yeah, you can know the big book in and out, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, totally. I've
How
seen a
you
few
apply
people. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm really glad where I'm at. I'm able to be a
Mm-hmm.
manager at a place that, I remember my last relapse, I was just got this job and then I wanted to be a manager. I wanted to put up all my all. I was loving my job. I love it. And
Cool.
then I used, and the next day I wanted to quit, and I didn't want nothing to do with it. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of woke me up. Was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like that quick.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even take me 8 months. It took me a day
Yeah.
to get back to where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I relapsed was a worser relapse, and
Yep.
it went back to the same place faster.
Yep.
And it really scared me, and I was like, "Yep, I'm done. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do this." And it's crazy because this is my only job I've ever had a whole year in a row.
Wow.
As
In
something
a
to be
row.
like I never, I didn't get fired. I didn't quit. I didn't get, I was able to have a job for a whole year. Just
Mm-hmm.
like recovery, they're like, it's like a milestone every day for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it because I've never been sober this long.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wake up every day, it's another milestone. And also for my job, it's another milestone.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because now I have relationships with my family. I
Woo.
have keys. I have keys.
Yeah.
I have a house key. I have my
People
dad's
let me
key.
in.
I have a key to a meeting, an AA meeting. I have a
Awesome.
key. I have a keys to a new car. It's pretty amazing. I have keys to my job. It's like, wow, you guys trust me to have these
Mm-hmm.
things,
Well, they say the more keys you have, the more responsible you are. That's actually a
Yes.
saying.
Oh, that's amazing because I never
Well,
had responsibility.
you've become a productive member of society again.
Yeah. And before they used to tell me I
Which
was not safe in society,
that you wouldn't, yeah, that you were very unsafe.
Yeah.
But we make changes, and we
Yes.
make a decision that, for me, I think the decision was I was just tired of beating up God's children. I was tired of it. It was hurting
Yeah.
me. It was hurting me too much, and it was tearing me apart, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's where I felt like I was tired of being sick and tired. I was
Mm-hmm.
tired of being tired. It's
Yep.
just that overwhelming feeling of I don't want this anymore, but I don't know how to get help. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
When you're raised in a life of drugs and no like foundation,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, so I got to reteach myself.
Yeah.
I'm 1 year old today because I have
Uh-huh. Yep.
mentally and emotionally. Now I turned, I was fourth grade. So I'm 10 years old
Mm-hmm.
emotionally.
Yeah.
Because at 9 and 8, practically 8 and 9, I stopped
Yeah.
everything. Because once I started
Mm-hmm.
using and drinking, all that stopped. I stopped
Yep.
growing emotionally. And so now I'm 10 years old emotionally and I'm able to grow. Like I have to start everything all
Mm-hmm.
over again and reteach my brain how to live and think. And because it wasn't my drinking and using problem, it was my thinking problem.
That's right. I didn't recover from alcohol. I recovered from trauma.
Yes. Yeah. I just used alcohol and drugs to fill the void that I
Exactly.
missed when I was
Mhm.
younger.
Or anything else. I have people, could
Places,
be anything out
things.
there.
Yeah, and I think that was really profound, like really like boom, in my mind when they taught me that in meetings that it's not our because like if I had a drinking and using problem, I could just stop and I'd be fine, right? I should be
Yeah.
okay if I just quit
Mhm.
that. But it's my thinking because I think it's okay to do those things when I feel some certain way.
Correct.
I'm angry, I use. When I'm sad, I
Mhm.
use. When I accomplish things, I use. When I
Mhm.
like I remember telling my cousin one time she was angry and or sad or something. I was like, "You want to just do a bump? You'll feel better. You just do a bump." She's like, "No, I'm
Mhm.
fine." And I was like, "Wow, I want to do that. Why can't I do
Mhm.
that? I want to be able to just sit in it and be okay and not cover it up." And that's when I was like in ninth grade. I really seen. I was like, "Whoa!" Like,
Or just have my mind on it constantly.
yeah,
Driving me freaking crazy, in the beginning of our sobriety.
yeah,
But we get to a place where, you know, you know, if you have a drunk horse thief and you take away the alcohol, you still got a horse thief. You just got a better one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we're the same way. Alcohol is a symptom of the disease. Just
Yes.
like if you have a cold, you have the sniffles or a cough.
Yeah.
And this is just like the symptom. But what we do is we get through our stuff, and then I think because we touched on this a little bit. There will come a day, if you do the work, that you can accept everything that's ever happened to you in your life and look at yourself in the mirror and say, wow, I love you, dude.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that now. I do not regret my past, and it does not define me, but it
Yes.
does make me who I am today. If that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be who I am, and I love me. So I don't regret any of it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Like, because before I used to think of the things I used to do and it would like put hurt in my heart.
Mhm.
Like I would just pawn on it and then I would go back to like poor me, poor
Mhm.
me, poor me, you know.
Pour me another drink.
Yeah. poor- and today I'm able to think about it, pray about it. Like if there's an ugly feeling in my heart when like last night, it was crazy. I was thinking about the past with my son and it hurt me when I rethought about it. But then I
Okay.
asked God to remove that
Yeah.
feeling because
'Cause
I'm
it's
doing
not-
better today.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. You're not required to beat up on yourself anymore.
Yeah, and it was
Uh-uh.
nice to be able to pray about it before I went to bed and then feel okay in the morning versus
Yeah.
I would have thought about that, woke up shitty and probably
Yeah.
would have used like
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
you know? So it's pretty
And
cool.
not done a
and
podcast today.
yeah, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm good, you know,
Yeah.
right back at it. I'll try next time, make an excuse for another excuse, you know?
Yeah.
But it's really truly amazing because today I do have relationships.
Mhm.
Today I do have my stepson in my life.
Good. Yes.
I thought I'd never see him till he was 18, and today he's 6, and I get to see him. You know, thank you. And you know, and I have a husband in recovery,
Mhm.
and my family's in recovery. You know, and today I get to pray for people that are still hurting instead
Yeah.
of judging them.
Yeah.
You know, um, so life is good today. You know, if you trust and rely upon God
Mhm.
and get part of a fellowship, sobriety is possible.
Mhm.
It's not easy, but it's possible.
Mhm.
But if you keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, and the easy part, I don't know that I really want it to be easy
Yeah,
because then it's not worth it,
true.
and my life's full of me creating drama anyway. So when it's bigger, I prefer, that's why we make mountains out of molehills, and we have to learn to just let it be a molehill
Yeah.
and leave it be. So,
Yeah.
Bianca, thank you so much for coming on today and taking your time and sharing with us. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me. I really appreciate being on the podcast with you. It's really cool.
Fantastic. Guys, for as much as we can go out and cause harm or destroy the people around us and other lives, for as much as we can do that, we can go the other way.
Totally.
We can bring our family members back. We can, look what happened with Bianca. Her family came back and now they're all in recovery. That's a miracle stuff right there. I mean, so keep in mind that people are watching you. And if you are an example, they're going to want what you have. And then it's going to be your turn to be that stand-up member of society. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is Tuesday's podcast. Please follow and like us, all that other stuff. Peace out. I love you and have a day.